Hello Moonies, and welcome to the final part in Season 2 of Watch Sailor Moon Learn Japanese. In this installment, I'm going to be breaking down the last part of the first episode of Sailor Moon S, and I'm going to teach you Japanese one word at a time while also walking you through the translation process.
これはタリスマンじゃない。
Yatsura標的を誤ったようね。
So if you're new to this series, this grammar and vocabulary is kind of at the intermediate level, so I work under the assumption that you already kind of know all the basics of Japanese. So if you are an extreme beginner, a lot of this might go a little too fast for you or over your head, but fear not, I do have a Japanese for Beginners series, and I've also just started up a continuation of that called Nihongo 2, which is for like beginner intermediate level learners, so check out the links in the video description if you want any of that. Also note that I have the printed transcript in Japanese along with the translation in the video description as well. So when we last left our heroines, two mysterious sailors, I wonder who they are, saved the day. They got rid of Mikuji, the possessed tree at Rei's shrine, and we're just kind of tying up the episode. Rei is still unconscious at this point, so Usagi screams, Rei-chan, Rei-chan, Rei, Rei. Shikkari shite, Rei-chan. So Shikkari shite, you've probably heard this a zillion times if you watch a lot of anime. So Shikkari suru is like to be strong, to be held together. So Shikkari shite it can be translated a number of ways. It can be like pull yourself together if you're like yelling it at someone angrily. In this case, she's not. She's more like pleading and begging, so it's more like speak to me, Rei, or wake up, Rei, or like please get up. It can be translated a number of ways. The girls yell Rei-chan and Shikkari shite in various combinations.
これはタリスマンじゃない。
Yatsura標的を誤ったようね。
無駄骨か。
And then these shrouded, mysterious sailors. Gee, I wonder who they are. One of them, Uranus, says, これはタリスマンじゃない. So this is very basic Japanese 101. I'm sure a lot of you already know what this is. So これは means this is, talisman, talisman, janai, not. So this is not a talisman. The other mysterious sailor, Neptune, says, Yatsura標的を誤ったようね. So Yatsura, yatsu means like that bad person. Yatsura, the ra makes it a plural, so those bad people, those bad guys. Hyouteki is a target. Wo, so we know that this hyouteki is the object of our sentence. A verb is going to happen to it. Ayamatta, so ayamaru is to mess up. So ayamatta, messed up. Yo, ne, it's like, it appears that they messed up their target, these bad guys. It seems they targeted the wrong person. And then Uranus responds with Humph, which is Humph. Mudabone ka. So Mudabone is like a waste of time. What a wasted effort. So, what a waste of time. Like, we're too cool for this episode.
Rei-chan te ba!返事してよ!
And Usagi is still trying to get Rei to wake up. She says, Rei-chan te ba! Anytime you have a person's name and then teba, it's like, come on, person's name. Geez, person's name. Stop being so silly or so dead, person's name. It's just like, come on, you stupid Rei. Listen to me. So I translated that as Rei, stop joking around. It can be anything like that. It's basically, she's kind of being mean to Rei, but in a way she's reinforcing like, please, just be silly, Rei, just be joking, Rei, because she's worried that Rei's dead. And she says, Henji shite yo. Henji suru is to answer someone, so henji shite yo would be like, come on, answer me, like the imperative form, commanding form. She says Rei-chan again. Like half of this section is just Rei-chan, Rei-chan over and over again. Rei opens her eyes, and MAKO says kiga tsuita. So kiga tsuku means to like regain consciousness or to notice. So kiga tsuita, she has awakened, she has regained consciousness. Is literally what that means. I translate it as she's awake. Usagi says, Atashi, ... I, ... And then she starts sobbing. So Rei-chan ga, this is an instance where she's using Rei's name in place of a pronoun, in place of you, where in English we would say you or she. Instead, you're using the character's name. So Rei-chan ga you ga moto ni modotta. So moto ni modoru is to return to one's normal state. So, oh, you're back to normal. Oh, you're back to normal. And I translated that as, I'm so glad you're back, Rei. And then she says, yokatta yo. So yokatta, again, if you see a lot of anime, you probably know it means like thank God, thank goodness. That's actually not a literal translation. It is past tense of yoi or i, which means good. So literally it just means was good. But that's a horrible translation. It means thank goodness, thank God. Rei says usagi with no honorific because they're close. Then usagi says, doko mo itakunai? So doko mo means nowhere. I did a lesson on this in Japanese for Beginners a while ago in that series. So doko mo, and it's going to follow up with the negative version of an adjective. So itai means painful or hurts. Itakunai does not hurt, is not painful. So doko mo itakunai means like, does it hurt anywhere? However, this is being asked technically in the negative. So Rei responds with yeah. So it's like, literally it would be like, do you not hurt anywhere? And then the correct answer to that would be like, yes, I do not hurt anywhere. But that sounds so weird in English. It's much more, intuitive to think of it as like, does it hurt anywhere? And then you'd answer no. So this is one of those instances where if you're listening and you hear which means yeah, and then you see in the subtitles, no, that's not a mis-sub. It's just like the way we phrase things in English versus Japanese is different. So that's why I subtitled it as, does it hurt anywhere? And then Rei answers, nope, I'm okay. Daijoubu. Here's another negative form question. Kurushikunai? So kurushikunai literally means doesn't hurt. And kurushi specifically, it's kind of more like a chest pain, a throat pain. It often is associated with the inability to breathe. Like, kurushi, like you often say that if you can't breathe. So kurushikunai means, can you not breathe? Again, it sounds so weird if we translate it literally in English. So I translated that as, can you breathe okay? In like the positive sense instead of negative. And then Rei answers, yeah. So it actually works out that way. Instead of like a double negative, it's just a positive. And then Usagi's just being silly at this point. She says, dokka kayui toko nai? So dokka means dokoka. It's like a contraction for dokoka. Dokka, anywhere. Kayui means itchy. So kayui toko. Toko is short for tokoro. So kayui tokoro. Any itchy places, parentheses, in your body, not exist is literally what that is. So it's like, aren't there any itchy places on your body? Or in better English, does it itch anywhere? And again, she's asking in like the negative tense, but we wouldn't really do that in English. We would ask positive rather than doesn't it itch anywhere? That's more like we're saying, hey, isn't it the case that it itches? You should be itching. Doesn't it itch? That's not that nuance in English. So we would say, does it itch anywhere? And Rei says, which is no. And then Uranus and Neptune are jumping away into the distance like rabbits. I don't know how they jump that high. And then Artemis says, hano futari wa ... So that literally means those two people are ... or as for those two people ... But it's really more like, who are those two people? And we have a word for two people in English, which is duo or pair. So I translated that as, who's that duo? And then Usagi's sobbing and saying something, but it wasn't in the Japanese transcript and I couldn't quite pick it out. And Rei says, mo nakanai no. Which means like, hey, don't cry anymore, okay? Nakanai is just don't cry, and then mo nakanai is don't cry anymore. And then we're with the bad guys with some cool jazzy music.
香りナイト君、標的はタリスマンの持ち主ではなかったようだね。
And Tomoe says, Kaori Naito-kun. So Kaori Night, or Kaoli Night, I think it's with an L, I don't know. 標的はタリスマンの持ち主ではなかったようだね. So hyouteki, the target, wa, as for the target, talisman no mochinushi. So I think we went over mochinushi several lessons back in the series, but mochinushi means like a person, an honorable person who possesses something. In this case, it's the talisman. The honorable person who possesses the talisman. In cleaner English, that would be the talisman host. Dewa is like the more literary version of ja. Ja nakatta, dewa nakatta. So wasn't the host of a talisman. Yo da ne. So again, this yo, I remember, I think it was Neptune earlier who used this. So it appears that our target was not a talisman host. And so I translated that as, it looks like our target wasn't a talisman host after all.
はい、それに思わぬ邪魔者が以後注意します。
Kaori Naito answers, はい、それに思わぬ邪魔者が and she kind of cuts off there. That's not really a complete sentence. It's a fragment, sort of, but a lot of Japanese dialogue is like that. It's just a fragment. We can fill in the rest of the sentence through context. So, hi, like, yes, professor. Our target was not a talisman host after all. それに, furthermore, besides that, additionally, 思わぬ, so 思わない, you might know means like to not think. But 思わぬ is kind of the same as 思わない, but it's used to modify a noun. In this case, the noun is jamamono, which I think we went over in a few lessons back, which is pests, basically, intruders, pests. So 思わぬ jamamono would mean like pests that we didn't foresee, that we didn't think of. Ga, and then you would finish that sentence with a verb like arawareta, like appeared or something, but you don't have to through context. We know that she's saying, yeah, and some uninvited pests also showed up. So the showed up part is implied. You don't really need it. And then she follows it up with igo chūi shimasu. So igo means like moving forward or from now on or in the future. And then chūi suru is to, actually you'll see this a lot in like caution signs basically. Kind of that's what it means is caution. So chūi suru or chūi shimasu is to like to take extreme, not necessarily extreme, but to take caution, to be wary, to be vigilant. So I translated that as, I shall take extra precautions moving forward, because they will speak very more like officially, like villains would. And then the girls and the cats and Tuxedo Mask are kind of thinking over what just happened. They're like, oh man, are we starting a new season again? Are there new enemies again? And Luna says,
新たな敵はピュアな心を持つ人を狙っているみたいね。その中にタリスマンがあるとかって言ってたわね。
新たな敵は So 新たな敵. 新たな is new. It's like a tarashi, and it's the same kanji. It's just different, and it says an a adjective instead of an e adjective. So 新たな敵, a new enemy, wa. So as for new enemies, ピュアな心を持つ人. This compound has come up many, many times so far in the series. So 人, person, ピュアな心を持つ possesses a pure heart. So a person who possesses a pure heart. Oh, so the people who possess pure hearts are our object. A verb is going to happen to them. 狙っている. So are targeting, are after. So the new enemy, 新たな敵は are after, 狙っている ピュアな心を持つ人, people who possess pure hearts. 見たい ne. So 見たい, this whole 見たい at the end of this whole thing means it seems like, it looks like our new enemies are after 狙っている pure な心を持つ人, people with pure hearts. So I translated that as, looks like our new enemy is after people with pure hearts. And then Ami follows it up with その中に, so and among them and within them, タリスマンがあるとかって言ってたわね. So タリスマンがある, there is a talisman exists, とか, or something like that. Te, that small tsu te, so you're putting this whole thing in quotes. A talisman exists, or something like that. Te, itteta wa ne. They said, itteta wa ne. Didn't they say? Yeah, they said that among them, among these people who possess pure hearts, there is a talisman. So yes, and they mentioned something about talismans too. I just kind of cleaned up that English a little bit.
それにあの謎の二人。
また新しい戦いが始まるの。
And then Artemis, again, he's got his mind on that mysterious duo. それに謎の二人. So 謎の is like, they use this 謎の戦士, 謎の二人, to describe Uranus and Neptune a lot in this series before it's revealed that they're sailor senshi. Well, actually, that's like in the third episode of this season, so not for long. But 謎の戦士 or 謎の二人. So それに, what's more, those 謎の二人, mysterious duo. So then there's that mysterious duo, ... And then Usagi, very sadly lamenting, says, また新しい戦いが始まるの? So また again, 新しい new. So remember there was 新たな same kanji, new, 新しい new. 新しい戦い. So 戦い is like, 戦う is to fight. 戦い turns it into kind of a noun. So it is a fight as a noun or a battle or a war. So a new war が始まる. Hajimaru is to begin, to start. So this new war is going to start. No? Question mark. So are we going to have to start fighting again? This is one of those cases where, as you can see, I changed, even though tatakai in this case is a noun, I changed it back like into a verb just because I think it flowed a little bit better that way. Is a new war going to start again is kind of more literally what that sentence is. But I think, are we going to have to start fighting again just sounds better. And it means the same thing. So that's why I translated it that way. Anyway, are they going to have to start fighting again? Of course, because there's a whole season ahead of them. So that was the end of episode 1 of S. And the end of part 2 of my Watch Sailor Moon Learn Japanese series. But fear not, there is so much more that you can still get from this series because I'm going to be doing a part 3. Yep, you heard it here first. I'm going to be starting probably next month in February, breaking down the first episode of Sailor Stars. And I'm going to give it the same treatment, break it down one word at a time, and teach Japanese that way. So look out for that. Also, I have a new tier on my Patreon where if you join there, you get a monthly Sailor Moon song translation sent to you through email. And I basically do the exact same thing with the song translation that I do with these videos, where I break it down one word at a time. I highlight the particles. I translate each word one word at a time, and then I translate the whole thing into English at the end so you can kind of see how everything comes together. So if you want more out of the series and you also want to vote with your dollars and say, yes, Sarah, please keep making more of this, go ahead and support me at that tier, but only if you can afford it. Otherwise, I am pleased that you're just watching this at all. On that note, thank you to all the patrons who make this series and other series possible on this channel. And I do have one little epilogue to this part of the series coming pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. 月の光は愛のメッセージ.